Previously on Tomb of Annihilation. With the party still separated, and in fact now further apart than ever, they find themselves struggling in unfamiliar territory. Bogged down by disease and all manner of jungle terrors, Ars and Tethys began their expedition towards the ruined city of Mesro. Despite having a strike team at their backs, disaster struck midway through their travels when a cloud of mad monkey mist floated through their camp, turning some of their comrades insane and causing Ars to collapse. At the very moment, an unexpected band of frost giants appeared. Elsewhere, continuing their work for the Zentrim Guild, and with the hopes of collecting a handsome ransom, the rest of the party hire a ship to travel to the western coast of Chult and hunt down the Chultan pirates at their secret base. Upon getting close to their destination, they were set upon by a ferocious pirate ship and, in spite of a few slip-ups, managed to overpower them, killing the pirate captain. Welcome back, everybody, to our narrated retelling of Tomb of Annihilation, Part 12, The Battle of Jahaka Bay. Apologies for the hiatus. In the last video, I said I wouldn't leave a huge time gap in the series again, and that was not true. Truthfully, I've spent time working on something rather exciting. I have just recorded and produced an audiobook for the talented Dan Burford, whose book, Oath to the Kings, will soon be out on Audible for any and all who might enjoy a British gangland fiction novel, think like modern-day Peaky Blinders, or for anyone who might be interested in checking out some more of my narration work. It includes many Cockney, Northern, and even Italian accents, so what's not to like? Naturally, any support there would mean the absolute world. I will leave a link for it down in the description below when it goes live. Back to the nature at hand, however. Support for the series has been fantastic so far, so a big thank you to everyone who has liked, subscribed, left a comment, and even those who have just watched the videos. Hopefully you're enjoying them. Also, please give a follow on social media, Instagram, TikTok, Reddit, at Stories from the Big Chair to stay on top of all the latest updates. Thank you. Now, enough small talk. Let's get back to the story. Easy now. Tethys, the Vengeance Paladin with ties to the Order of the Gauntlet, slowly raises his hands, gesturing to the panicked faces around him to stand down. We'll be fine. Just stay calm. Calm was the last thing Tethys was feeling at this moment. He has barely slept a wink these last few days. He has watched people he trusted slaughtered right before his eyes. One of his warriors has appeared to have lost any idea as to who he is or where they are. His closest ally has collapsed with no indication of getting up, and towering above him, massive weapons in hand and snarling, drooling hounds at their side, a band of 3 frost giants glared down at the disbanded group, who hold their breaths in silence. Standing around 12 feet tall, the leader of this group steps forward. Her sharp facial features are painted upon a light bluish-grey skin, emphasized by piercing blue eyes. A scar on the side of her face is partly covered by wisps of white hair that hang down, swaying in a breeze that is not there. Her armor is an embroidered steel, styled amid white robes and animal bones. There is no way they could be enjoying the heat of the jungle. She wears a huge sword on her back, the kind of weapon that looks like it could cleave a Tyrannosaurus in two with one fell swoop. "To Simba!" she announces with a deep, booming voice. "There is no Arda Simba here," Tethys calls back. "You have seen him." The giant takes another step forward. Tethys steps back. "No, but I know his name. You're not the only ones looking for him. We would tell you if we had, I swear." The giants seem unconvinced. Their large winter wolves start sniffing around the adventurers who stand petrified. One of the wolves seems particularly keen on Ars, who is currently lying unconscious on the ground. Afflicted by mad monkey fever, there is no telling when he will wake from his stupor. That is, if he ever does. One of the other giants wanders over to Ars's body. "She recognizes a scent on this one," he says to their leader. "Wake him," she commands. Try as they might, no amount of wolf licks or slapping from giant hands is able to wake him up. "Very well. He comes with us." "Wait," Tethys calls out. "It'll do you no good. He's dead. If he's not dead now, he will be soon." Tethys explains that Ars has been afflicted by a disease, and by taking him away, the giants are putting themselves at risk too. A sketchy cover at best, but fortunately for Tethys, he rolled high on his deception check, and the giants agree to leave him be, on the condition that they keep an eye out for this wayward adventurer on their travels. Tethys inquires as to why they have such an interest in this man. "He is a thief," their leader, Drufi, replies. "He stole something of great value from us, a ring. We need it back, no matter the cost. He travels with a reptilian companion. That is how you will know." If they should find Arta's Simba, or the ring he has, they should bring it to the northeastern coast of Chult, to the beach where the frost giant ship, the Valspit, is stationed. "Your friend's face is known to us," she says, looking down at Ars. "There are things about him even you do not know." The giants leave, but with an ominous message. As the strike team takes a moment to gather their breath, Tethys looks down at his companion, and what he sees is not the Ars he knows. You see, even through these various videos, I have been using Ars's token here to denote when he is involved in the action. I really should have been using this image the whole time instead. Ars has been presenting himself as a young, human-looking wizard throughout the entire adventure so far. But when Tethys looks down at him, he sees this. A white-haired man with purple-grey skin and pupilless white eyes. Gone are the humble wizard's robes, replaced with black leather armor like that of a thief. Just what the devil is really going on here? No time to ask these questions, however, as Tethys rounds up the strike team, ordering them to bring along the maddened Kayla and Arbalest with them. He orders Vaughn to carry Ars, and together the group of them continue on their path. As the waves violently rap against the groaning hull of the ship, the brazen Pegasus sighs to the opened air. Gaping wounds patch her sides as the residue smoke from various cannonballs wafts into the air, joining the misty noise of Jahaka Bay. The ship lolls onwards through the mist, drawing ever closer to their quarry. Stood atop the vessel, Bori the Rune Knight, Revna the Beastmaster, and Bumble of the Circle of the Moon stand in a circle along with Taban the Gladiator, Automay Swiftendark, the ship's captain, Grig Ruddle, the first mate, and Kabali, Revna's pet panther. In a huddle, they peer down at the small stone held in Bori's hand. A sending stone. No doubt the sister stone to the one found in Commander Portier's possession at the Flaming Fist headquarters, Fort Bulgarian. A moment of triumph is shared between the adventurers, as this incriminating evidence could be enough to prove that the Flaming Fist are working alongside the Chultan pirates. The job is not finished, however, as there is still one more pirate captain left to capture. Capture being the key word here, as it was stated that they would prefer the pirate captains to be brought in alive, something Bori failed to remember when he caved in the body of Captain Zarum al-Sayak earlier that day. Still, they got what they needed, a pirate captain eliminated, and a hefty handful of booty to take away from it. Revna had thoroughly quizzed Bori on the rather big stunt he had pulled earlier, growing exponentially in size. Bori explained that the runes embedded on his weapons and armor give him certain magical abilities. His specific runes were gifted to his tribe by the frost giants to the north of Faerun, and as so he has gained the ability to become part giant himself. A very handy skill, they all agree, but one that perhaps should be saved for when not standing on wooden seafaring vehicles. The crawl through Jahaka Bay is a slow one. The mist being so dense, the only feasible approach is one of extreme caution. Hugging the coastline, they follow the stony mountain's port side until a shout from the crow's nest denotes their arrival as the foundations of a settlement shift into view. Not a moment too late, Captain Swift and Dark spots a ring of submerged rocks, which she carefully avoids as the Pegasus hones in towards the shore. Nestled inside a cave lies Jahaka anchorage itself. Sheltered from the rain, damp and echoing, the pirates have outfitted it with a pier and a ramshackle fort built from scavenged planking, old barrels, deck crates, spars, and whatever else they could scrounge. To the north, a warehouse sits with a crane hanging out over the water below, and a cage lies bereft of the pier, housing a number of soggy and sullen-looking prisoners. To the south, a makeshift tavern has been erected using the upside-down remains of a ship. The pier itself lies in the center of the anchorage, covered in slick moss and in desperate need of repair. Sharkbait Rock is connected too, a cruel feature whereby a few hostages, or pirates who have broken the Buccaneers' code, have been lashed to the rock, along with the skeletons that lay there, and are constantly getting splashed by the rising waves. Some of them are missing their feet, no doubt thanks to the shark fins that circle the area nearby too. Two small rowboats are connected to the pier, overshadowed entirely by the magnificent vessel that sits dominant in the center. The final pirate ship, the Sturge, is filled with scoundrels and cutthroats, transporting goods via the crane that hangs above. The crew consists of mainland bandits and Chultan thugs. The ship itself is a marvel to behold, gold-rimmed with a beautiful mauve coating and dark purple leather sails that bear the unmistakable skull and crossbones. Stood atop the forecastle of the Sturge, barking orders to the insubordinates below, stands Captain Lascalar, a Tetherian human with a flamboyant and rakish visage. He wears a beautiful auburn cape and a golden lining down to his ankles, a cravat around his neck, and a full head of dark hair with a twirled moustache. A shiny and sharp rapier dons his belt. To the side of him, his two most trusted crewmates, a brutish half-orc gladiator named Heel, and an Eluskan priest of the sea god Umberly named Caldos Hellingscorn, who glares around, eyes wide with madness. The arrival of the brazen Pegasus is not a subtle one. A horn sounds throughout Jahaka anchorage, alerting everyone within to their unwanted arrival. Captain Lascalar runs to the front of his ship and calls out, "Aha! So this is the ones who have been causing all kinds of trouble, no? Well then, welcome to our little operation. I am sure you are very happy to have found us, no? Too bad it will be your first and your last visit. Kill them all!" His cries echo around the entire cave as a plethora of scallywags and ne'er-do-wells draw their weapons. Above the tavern, a ramshackle watchtower stands with a crenellated parapet. Atop it, a few pirates emerge and maneuver the loaded ballista in the direction of the Pegasus. The party did not think that negotiations or diplomacy would be on the tables here, so they brace themselves for a grueling fight. As crossbow bolts start soaring through the air, the adventurers spring into action. Bori, Taban, and Grig Ruddle jump down onto the rowboat attached to the Pegasus and dart across to the pier where a slew of crooks await them. As a ballista bolt tears through the air, narrowly missing the mast of their ship, Revna, Bumble, and Captain Swift and Dark take a defensive position and begin returning fire. As the Pegasus draws closer to the Sturge, Kabali the Panther leaps across to the pirate ship and sinks her jaws into one of the assailants. On the pier, the three men meet steel with steel as they begin dueling with the pirates there. Using the slippery moss to their advantage, Bori and Taban hurl some of their adversaries into the water, which is swiftly followed by screams as the sharks patrolling the area decide to join in the melee. A ballista bolt crashes down on the pier, severing the adventurer's path to the Sturge. In a flash, Bori darts around and clocks the ballista turret on the watchtower. He sees that it sits atop the tavern and rushes to the entrance. A flimsy sign reading Bosco's Bilge limply hangs over a pair of damaged saloon doors, and as Bori bursts his way inside, he stops in his tracks to take in the dingy yet quaint surroundings. The room is filled with benches, stools, and a few tables on a sand floor. It reeks of spilled beer, old food, and stale tobacco smoke. Apart from one scoundrel passed out in the corner, the bilge is alive with activity. a clamorous hubbub of yelling and cursing which immediately goes still and silent as the handful of patrons sitting around gambling tables, drinks in hand, all turn to look towards the entrance. The proprietor stood behind the bar, one Bosco dagger hand, stands rigid with his left hand resting threateningly on the dagger in his sash. Next to him he has a pet raptor, known as Knuckles, who snarls towards Bori. Tension hangs in the air as Bori readies himself for a fight, but the silence hangs still.
"Well met, friend. Here for a game?"
Bosco finally breaks the silence. Bori contemplates for a moment.
"Sure, why not?"
He chortles as the pirates cheer, pull up a chair, hand him some cards, and plonk an ale at his table.
"You know 3 Dragon Ante? Ha! Does a beholder sleep?"
Outside, the battle continues to roar onwards. Now the two ships have finally collided, the remaining members of the Brazen Pegasus leap over to the Sturge to join in the fight. The mad druid Kaldos Hellingscorn conjures up vines to try and halt their progress, but Revna commands Kabali to bite him on the backside, breaking the druid's concentration on the spell. Bumble finds herself locked in combat with Heel, the half-orc gladiator. Hurling offensive spells his way does little to deter the hulking figure's approach. Getting his hands on Bumble, he laughs as he hurls her overboard, falling into the water with a small plop. As she sinks lower, the snarling jaws of the reef sharks begin circling her, inching closer and closer. Captains clashing as Captain Swift and Dark spars cutlasses with Captain Lascalar.
"Surrender, Lascalar, and we'll make sure your life is spared." "Ha ha ha! You amuse me greatly, little small one. We have you outnumbered 10-1. Give up now, and I will give you a quick death."
A spear comes soaring across the hull of the Sturge and lodges itself with considerable force into the gut of Heel the gladiator. He coughs up blood all over the deck, much to the disgust and protestations of Captain Lascalar as he stumbles towards the edge. At that moment, a huge tentacle erupts from the water below, wraps itself around the wounded half-orc and drags him overboard. Bumble has used her wild shape power to morph into a giant octopus who uses her tentacle to squeeze the neck of Heel until his face turns purple and bloated and his body goes limp. The sharks move for the kill as she begins batting them away one by one. Taban smirks, watching the spear he launched meet its target. His celebration is cut short, however, as a spike of pain pierces the back of his shoulder. He looks back to see a crossbow bolt lodged into his body. Raising his head, he sees the ballista tower looming overhead, archers poised at the ready. A ballista bolt darts down towards him. He nimbly rolls out of the way. Seeing red, he yanks the crossbow bolt out of his back and sprints in the direction of the tower. Back inside Bosco's bilge, Bori begins playing his hand at 3 Dragon Ante. It has been a while since he has had the chance to sit down, chill out and play a game. The pirates who join him in this endeavour care as little for Bori's reason for being there as they are oblivious to the combat that is erupting outside their very walls. Bori had taken a moment to contemplate whether he should actually help out in the fight, but, strangely, as he usually adores any opportunity to swing his hammer, he feels a little tired with everything. The travel, the bugs, the reliance on him, the endless favours being asked, and most of all the damned heat. His comrades are more than competent. He will just sit this one out for a bit. That bit is cut remarkably short, however, as crashing through the saloon doors mere moments later is a hulked-up, sweat-covered warrior, foam frothing at the mouth like a rabid dog. Taban does not take the time to survey his surroundings like Bori did, and instead immediately drives his spear through the chest of the nearest scoundrel. The rest of the pirates in the room initially laugh at this interruption, and Bori with them. It is not until the second pirate gets impaled where the rest stand from their table and draw their weapons. Dejected, Bori throws his cards down at the table.
"Ah, what the hell?"
he yells as he swings his maul around, colliding with a wet crunch into the temple of one of his prior playmates. Revna continues his tussle with the mad druid, swiftly finishing the duel with a piercing strike from one of his short swords directly into the druid's chest. As he falls to his knees, Kabali pounces on him, the gnawing and tearing outpitching the screams and howls. Darting down the forecastle to the hull proper, Revna now engages Captain Lascalar, joining Captain Swift and Dark in her assault. The flamboyant captain is quick with his rapier and puts up an appropriate challenge. As fellow pirates attempt to come and aid their boss, Grig Ruddle rears up, ready to cut them down. The pirates are vast in numbers, however, and a call for aid from Grig prompts Revna and Swiftendark to turn their backs on Captain Lascalar, who, seeing that things are not going as well as he had hoped, takes the opportunity to bolt, fleeing the Sturge and racing his way towards the tavern. Upon getting inside, he ignores the slaughter happening within and races directly to the spiral stairs leading to the platform above. Hearing the desperate pattering of footsteps behind them, Taban turns and quickly darts his way up the stairs in pursuit. Bori, on the other hand, crushes the chest of the final drunken pirate before turning his attention to Bosco, who stands, hands raised above his head.
"Spare me, and Knuckles," he pleads, "and I'll make it worth your while."
Bori hesitates, then cocks his head to show that he is listening. Bosco chucks him a coin purse. Bori studies the weight of it and smiles.
"Here,"
Bosco chimes in again.
"You'll be needing this."
He throws to Bori a simple black eye patch. Without asking questions, Bori follows Taban in pursuit of the pirate captain. Greatly concerned for the well-being of their goblin ally, Captain Swiftendark turns her attention to aiding the giant octopus in picking off the reef sharks that are attacking from below. With his elf eyes that can see for a great distance, Revna spots Captain Lascalar emerging atop the battlements by the ballista.
"Up there!" he shouts. "He's trying to make a run for it!" "Get after him! I've got this handled!"
Grig Ruddle barks, prompting Revna to sprint also towards the tavern. Reaching the top of the spiral staircase, Bori finds the dead bodies of the ones manning the ballista and spots Taban dueling with Captain Lascalar on the nearby walkway. Unable to hear what is being said, Taban all of a sudden begins clutching his head before turning from the fight and walking towards the stunned dwarf.
"Taban, what are you doing?"
Bori cries out. Upon reaching him, the gladiator replies, I don't know, Bori, but I think that guy seems pretty chill to me. We should just leave him to continue on with his day." Behind Taban, the pirate captain flees further, unlocking the doors to the warehouse beyond and closing them behind him.
"Son of a bitch!"
Bori shouts before dashing across the walkway. Kicking down the warehouse doors reveals the height of the pirates' collective bounty. Chests, sacks, and sealed crates fill the space. Thrust into the rough-hewn walls of the warehouse are scores of rusty blades. Old longswords, short swords, rapiers, scimitars, and daggers. Stood in the center of the room, and a smug grin strewn across his bruised face, Captain Lascalar stands awaiting his pursuer.
Nice work with Taban, but your charming guile will not betwixt me, pirate,"
Bori barks.
"Aha! Perhaps not, but I do still have a trick or two up my sleeve."
Captain Lascalar laughs as he sheathes his own blade and beckons Bori to enter. A trick, undoubtedly, Bori thinks to himself before deciding that he does not care and steps inside. The moment he does, a retinue of the swords decorating the wall spring to life and fly towards the fighter with alarming speed. Instantly activating his giant's rune, Bori grows in size once again, stomping down on the relentless blades. Despite his best efforts, he receives one too many pricks to the head before remembering Bosco's gift. Hurriedly and scuffily putting on the eye patch, the animated swords immediately stop and return to their resting places. The smile on Captain Lascalar's face drops just as quickly and appears instead on the face of the furious dwarf. Reaching the top of the stairs himself, Revna follows the trail of corpses to find Taban massaging his temples. Using a bit of druidic healing magic, Revna removes Taban's addled state.
"Where is Bori and the pirate captain?"
Revna asks. Right on cue, the doors to the warehouse burst open, and exiting from them, a dishevelled and disarmed Captain Lascalar, hands bound behind his back, being led by a grinning dwarf.
Well, 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 the catch of the day is a big one, lads!
The dwarf bellows as he continues his march. Following the fall of Jahaka anchorage, the remaining members of the Brazen Pegasus strip the place clean. A considerable pirate's booty is obtained from the warehouse, including money, gemstones, golden ornaments, and magical scrolls aplenty. Using a set of keys found on Captain Lascalar's person, Revna and Bumble use a rowboat to sail out to the cage, unlocking the bars and escorting the meagre prisoners to land. most of whom were unfortunate merchants, sailors, or ex-pirates who welcomed the opportunity to be escorted back to Port Nyanzaru at the price of them aiding in the manning of both ships. One prisoner, however, is a little different from the others, an individual whose skin seems to be made completely of metal. They wear foliage and flowers across their body and refuse passage back to the city.
"You will likely die out in the jungles on your own,"
Revna said, questioning the being's motives.
"I have survived this long. I will survive longer still,"
they replied in a monotonous tone.
"I have not yet found what I am looking for, and I must not stop until I do."
"Well, what is it that you're looking for exactly?"
Bumble inquires. The figure stands in silence for a while.
"Purpose,"
they whisper before walking out of the gates and disappearing into the wild.
Gods, how long was I out for?
Ars sits up on his elbow, massaging the side of his head. Well, I don't have the time on me right now. It's been 3 days, give or take. Tethys finishes casting his lay-on hands, healing, and passes Ars a water skin.
9 hells,
the rogue replies.
Dare I ask where we are?
See for yourself. The paladin gestures towards the edge of the cliff that the group of them are currently perched atop. With the help of Vaughn, Ars rises to his feet and slowly edges his way forward. Looking yonder, the line of trees thin, revealing a great clearing. Stretched across the valley below, sprawling beneath a vast canopy of jungle, the city of Mesro stands in solitude. And yet, there was nothing left. Naught but the foundations remained. Ancient temples, palaces, monuments rose from the canopy in various states of collapse. Some had lost entire walls, leaving their interiors exposed to the sky. Others leaned precariously against one another, their once grand columns cracked, and their stonework blackened by decades of rain and decay. The jungle had consumed almost everything. Trees grew through rooftops, vines wrapped themselves around broken statues and climbed the sides of crumbling towers. Moss covered ancient carvings until the faces of forgotten gods were little more than vague shapes beneath the green. In some places, whole buildings had disappeared, leaving only the occasional stone wall or shattered arch to suggest they had ever existed. And then there were the streets. Some remained visible as great avenues winding between the ruins. Others had been swallowed entirely by vegetation. Still more were flooded, stagnant brown water filling the ancient roads and gathering in enormous pools between the buildings. But the water was not still, and the air was not silent. Hundreds of undead wandered through the ruins below, spilling from shattered buildings and drifting aimlessly between the ancient monuments. Skeletons picked their way through the rubble. Decaying corpses waded through the flooded streets, disturbing the murky water with every sluggish step. Ars stood, quietly observing, staring down at the city that had once been the beating heart of Chultan. Now its temples are broken, its streets are drowned, its people are gone. And yet Ars knew that somewhere within those ruins, hidden amongst the jungle and the countless wandering corpses, waited whatever secrets Mesro had kept buried for centuries. Those secrets will be his, he thought, no matter the cost. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. Please be sure to give a like, a subscribe, and leave a comment if you are enjoying these videos and would like to see more. Next time, the main adventuring party discover that transporting captured pirates back to the city is not as simple as it sounds on paper. And Ars and Tethys are in for a nasty surprise when they discover what is really going on inside the lost city. Although my time is dragged this way and that way, seemingly at every turn, I am still absolutely loving making this series, and provided the support is still there and people still want to see these videos made, I will continue to do so. I am curious, however, and please do leave a comment down below. Would you like a heavier continuation of the Tomb of Annihilation story, or would you like me to switch it up some more? Most likely with some more Call of Cthulhu or other TTRPG games, or even other D&D games. What would you like to see? Let me know, and I will do what the people want. Nevertheless, a huge shout out to New Mythos Music, as always, for creating the stellar soundtrack to these videos, and a thank you to everybody watching. You are amazing. And with that, I will see you all in part 13.